All right, we are here with the head coach of the Grand Saline Indians, Coach Joe Drennon. How are we doing today?
I'm great, man. I appreciate y'all having us on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about last season. Awesome year for the Grand Saline Indians, an undefeated regular season, headed into the playoffs. I know it didn't end the way you wanted it to with an 11-1 record, but talk to me a little bit about last year and the ride that it was.
Well, I thought as a group, I thought our kids, answered a lot of questions last year about how good we could be, and if we do the things that we we work for and we prepare for, and we do it right, and then obviously, like I said, we got in the playoffs and we fumbled it away. To be honest with you, and there's no other way to put it. Done this a minute, and if you fumble the ball in the playoffs, you're generally going home pretty sad, and we did that. Uh, First day of practice this year, I started to wear. We had a shirt made last year. Obviously, when you go 10-0, it's undefeated, all this stuff. And I said, hey, this is a great shirt. It's a great deal, great year. But did we reach our goal? And everybody shook their head no. I said, good. I said, I'm not wearing this shirt again. I said, I want one that says we played, at AT&T. And I don't know if we'll get there. Don't know if we won't, but we're going to have to work our tails off to get there because we play a tough schedule and we've got some really good people in our path.
Well, and you mentioned that tough schedule last year, but Grand Saline was putting up a ton of points, led by Jet Taylor at the quarterback position. Just talk about his play and his growth too, because
Well,
I remember when we were talking when you first took the job at Grand Saline, you told me you said there's a kid coming up, there's a kid coming up that's special, and Jet's been performing well. So just talk a little bit about his play.
yeah, he has been. And Jet, the thing about Jet is, man, he has earned everything that he gets. That kid he's a great leader. His work ethic is unbelievable. I'm just telling you, as you know, I've had a many of good football players, and he is at the top of the list when it comes to work ethic. No one's there. I told all the colleges that come in and recruit him last year and stuff. I said, hey man, you may have one work as hard as Jet, but you will never have one outwork Jet. He's just that kid, and then he's really really smart and he's super competitive, and he's got great parents. I mean, they've raised him to be a winner, and that's what he is. But now, as good as Jet is last year, or he was last year, he was surrounded with some people around him that were pretty doggone good too. Colton Prox out there at receiver does not hurt any quarterback. I mean, it helps them. Colton is a pretty darn good quarterback in his own right. But he's such a special athlete, on both sides of the ball for us and in the special teams game. Our offensive line last year was really, really good. And Colt Boyd at the running back spot was really special for us. He's getting to go play at higher paying now. But we got a young kid in there now, Preston Hassett, who played. He was an all-district defensive back for us last year. We're gonna see what he can do at running back. And Preston's had a good first week and a half, week and 2 days, and we'll go. And Case and Bowler's going to work back there some as well. But man, we just Jed is one of those guys that, as a coach, he makes me a lot better coach, and and I'm awful proud to have him. He's a tremendous athlete with a great attitude, and normally those guys win.
Yeah, normally so. Well, Coach, you're going into your sixth year at Grand Saline, and I want to know the biggest difference you think from when you first took over the program to going into year six now. What do you think the biggest difference is?
Well, I think number one, we don't come in here and it's a program. It's not, I don't know if you've kept track of anything I've ever done in my life, but we don't come in and generally win the first year. We come in and start instilling our program. And if we got great athletes, yeah, we've won some games in our first year. Don't get me wrong. But to be consistent, you got to build a program, and we do that through our off-season work. We do it in the weight rooms. We do it on the tracks. We do it on the running part of everything, and just in building and instilling our program. And we tell the kids, if you will dedicate yourself to what we're asking you to do, we're going to be as good as we can possibly be before it's over with. And I've always believed in that. Uh, you know, you can have some good athletes and have a good season, but I've always believed that if you build your program when your athletes aren't as good as they could be, sometimes your program will carry you through where you can compete with everybody. And then when you do have special athletes like a Jet Taylor or Colton Prox or Gabe Lewis and them, well, now you're going to excel more. And so that's what we've always tried to live off of, and what we try to do. I think that's the biggest thing is just, hey, we've been in that weight room a lot, and we're so much stronger than what we were when we got here.
Well, that's East Texas football too. You got to be
Yeah,
strong to
there's
be.
no doubt. I tell them all the time. I said, I hope. I told them the other day, man, it come out of my mouth the other day when I got mad at them on the field for not working real hard. I said, and being in the weight room, I said, I hope our opponents don't lift during season, or I hope our opponents just want to maintain throughout the season. I said, that'll be the advantage we have over them if we'll do things what we're asking.
Well, speaking of this season coming up, you got quite a few people coming back, 7 on both sides of the ball. So a lot of returning players. Obviously, like you said, you lost Colt Boyd and some people like that. But what are your expectations and your thoughts as you head into this next season?
Well, you know, Kyle, you know me for a minute. I want to win every year. My expectations is I don't go into a ball game. I really don't, thinking that we cannot win it. We're going to figure out a way to where I hope we got a chance to win the ball game. Now, it doesn't always work out, but my expectation is for us to win. I want to win. I want to win the district again. Would I like to be 10-0 again? Yes, I would. But our overall goal is number one is we're going to try to win the district and get into the playoffs. And then once we're into the playoffs, do our best not to fumble the darn football, and hang on to the thing and see how what kind of run we can make at it. But I'm telling you, we've got a tough district. We've got some really well coached guys in our teams in our district, and we're going to be on top of our game to make sure that we get to that a chance to do that. I've said it forever too, and you probably heard me say it. If you go in unprepared on a Friday night in the state of Texas, you're going to be disappointed when the night's over because there's some really good coaches and really good athletes in this state.
Absolutely. And that makes it fun for us to watch and
Yes, it
cover.
does.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us this morning. Best of luck to the Indians this season, and we will talk to you down the road.
You bet, man. Appreciate y'all. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Coach.